Hey guys, welcome to the Wild With Show. I am Upamanyu,
And I'm Meghna.
and we have got a great show planned for you. We are, of course, going to be talking about the headline topic, which deals with snow leopards and how a specific crop is helping save them. Along with that, we are also talking about drilling in Amazon. I feel like every episode there is a story from Amazon, something bad happening in Amazon. Either it's a drilling or it's a deforestation project or something like that. So we'll be talking about that. And then we are talking about some, um, you know, deforestation in the EU and sort of leaked documents that expose the anti sort of the deforestation scenario or the scene in the EU. There is some stories. There is a story from of alligator abuse from the Everglades, and then there is an update on the Great Nicobar project. What else do we have, Meghna?
We have this very interesting article that says that the wildlife's unpredictable movements are making climate change planning difficult. So we're going to see what exactly is happening there. Apart from that, we have some news about the El Nino and how that could worsen going forward. Um, we would also, in conjunction with the El Nino, we're going to talk about how Switzerland's glaciers are melting because of this extreme heat wave that's happening. And we're also going to be talking about um, how fireworks could be a death sentence for wildlife. Apart from this, we would, if we have time, we would cover other short stories as well.
Right. Why don't we get started straight into the headline topic? This is a story from the Mongabay, and it's headlined "What's Jimbu? The herb that bolsters an iconic Nepali dish could also help save snow leopards." In Nepal's remote Valley, 37 households are piloting Jimbu farming, a Himalayan chive essential to dal bhat, the nation's staple dish. This aromatic herb, dried and fried in ghee to flavor lentil soup, offers indigenous communities a promising cash crop, potentially generating 12 million rupees or 79,500 US dollars annually through three yearly harvests, far exceeding income from traditional potato farming. Jimbu also provides an unexpected conservation benefit. Its pungent smells repels blue sheep from raiding crops. Since blue sheep are snow leopards' primary prey, fewer sheep near settlement means fewer snow leopard encounters and reduced livestock predation. However, experts caution against universally replicating this model, stressing that conservation strategies must remain site specific across different snow leopard habitats. Now, when I was reading the relation from Jimbu to blue sheep and from blue sheep to snow leopards, again, it took a second for me to make that connection in my head, and it could have been similar for you guys listening as well. So, and the point I'm trying to make is that ecosystems are very complex. It's not very linear and very simple A to B concept. So yes, that's something that we always have. We kind of forget, and I think something that the story highlights. Um, but um, again, I've never heard of Jimbu. Meghna, have you heard of Jimbu before? What is Jimbu?
No, I know of dal bhat, but I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's something that's popular across India as well. It's called dal bhat, dal chawal, different things here.
Mm.
But it's something that I think powers a lot of people in India and a lot of people in Nepal. Apparently, the starting line in that article is there's a popular saying in Nepal, dal bhat power, 24 hour, which means that you have dal bhat and you're powered for 24 hours. But yeah, um, but but yes, the whole point here is that if there are lesser sheep and the sheep can be um, kind of not like kind of what would you say evaded, or if the sheep's you can get the sheeps to be away from you, um then yes, but I don't really know where these sheeps are supposed to be hanging out otherwise. Like, are they with the shepherds? Are they otherwise nomadic? Are they always kept away from settlements? Is it only the potato crops that are bringing them to the landscape, and is that why the snow leopards are coming in? There are like a lot of questions here.
Oh, so that I think I know the answer. That blue sheep is basically the wild, uh, sort of the blue sheep that stays in the mountains. So these are like, why are they coming to the human settlements? Is because they are opportunistic, and they are trying
Sure.
to, similar to the snow leopard, they're trying to take um, advantage of human settlements. So the blue sheep are supposed to be in the mountains, finding food and sort of struggling to find food generally. But when they see these crops, and starchy crops like potato, then obviously they are attracted to it. And by virtue of them being attracted, the snow leopards are also um, attracted to it. But also there is the habitat encroachment angle as well. Blue sheep are coming because we are encroaching in that habitat more and more, even in thinly or sparsely populated regions like the Himalayan valleys.
Yeah, and I also don't know, like, I like the fact that they did say in the end that we cannot have like a blanket solution across areas. So the conservation initiatives need to be per area, per site. And if the blue sheeps and are coming here and they're not coming because of the Jimbu, it doesn't mean that areas that are adjoining the same strategy can work. And also, I think if they are going to completely replace potatoes with Jimbu, then they will also have to look for how they're going to how their livelihoods would survive, because Jimbu is something that they could only sell and it's just a herb. So there are like a lot of things that even for the locals they have to figure out if it's enough to just grow this and actually get potatoes from somewhere else, because they were probably self-sustainable earlier, but now
Mhm.
they will have to depend on this. um, the good part though is that obviously if blue sheep are less likely to raid these farms, then it would probably deter snow leopards as well, because the snow leopards have no interest in the jimbu or the potatoes.
Yeah, I think from the sounds of it, these farmers or these particular villages are generally farming crops and not animals. So I think the chances of the snow leopards coming just for the cattle is much lesser. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So I think replacing potatoes with Jimbu, to minimize that last remaining piece in that puzzle, that is the blue sheep coming, and then in turn snow leopards coming, and then having that human reducing that human animal conflict. This Jimbu strategy works well for this particular community. But it is, as the article says, it is a very good potential cash crop as well. 12 million rupees, which is 79 and a half, almost 80,000 US dollars. So yeah, I think it's the financial angle is generally sorted.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, there is some kind of livestock farming as well. This that happens here.
Mm.
They are talking in the article about a 2021 incident where a snow leopard killed 50 goats and a sheep inside a corral, which is one of their habitats where they keep these goats and sheep, in one night, and returned to slay another dozen. the following day.
Mm,
I mean, one snow leopard, 50 goats, and the sheep.
mm,
So there is that resentment as well, and they're saying that retaliatory killing of snow leopards by farmers who lost their livestock remains one of the major challenges there. And even in places which are mostly Buddhist, where they forbid killing snow leopards because of the religion, even their retaliatory killings are happening secretly. And I mean, it happens because probably. Um, Nepal is not providing as much subsidy or as much return or as much compensation if they lose livestock. So, probably why they feel like if they kill the snow leopard, then their livestock would be abundant and that way they would be able to survive. And this is a problem that happens everywhere because even for the snow leopards, even for the blue sheep, every animal is looking for like easier ways to get their meals. Um, if that's possible, and human settlements help that because they're so close to the wild areas, and in the wild it's really hard, like everything is hard. Like if you've ever seen snow leopards hunting down the goats, they're hunting them down like complete steep faces, so it's not easy in those remote areas to get your meals.
mm, mm. So overall, I think very very positive. Um, it helps all. This Jimbu farming, it helps the farmers. It helps the it helps minimize the contact with snow leopards generally, and yeah,
do
overall,
you want
overall,
to do you want to share pictures from the article?
yeah, we can do that. I'll just quickly share my screen then. Um, so here is sort of the greenhouses that you can see. Again, beautiful valley. Generally, the site in a Himalayan valley usually. Beautiful valley. So yeah, they are cropping. Sorry, you can see all the greenhouses, the small greenhouses lined, um, strewn across this landscape, and they are basically farming Jimbu. So this is the flower, the Jimbu flower, and again, very the flowers looks pretty, and then as we discussed, it is like a um, time like chive like aromatic aromatics. So um, again, looks very chive like, so must need to be dried and as such. But yeah, there are some farmers you know planting or maybe harvesting that Jimbu. Local women tending to Jimbu in Fu. And then here's the snow leopard, such a majestic um, Himalayan species as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see.
And this is the
And
blue
that is,
sheep.
yeah.
This is the bharal or the blue sheep.
Are you saying that they're always wild? They're not
Yeah,
kept
I
as
think they're not
livestock at all?
domesticated. I don't think so.
Not even the remote mountainous region.
Um, I actually have I can't say with 100% confidence, but they look very pretty much wild.
Are they supposed to have like a leash on their neck?
Yeah, kind of, or some kind of branding or marking.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't think this will be. I mean, obviously we can eat them, but I don't think these are eaten that much. So that is the only reason, because the fur doesn't look that much, big for wool or anything like that. So I guess the primary reason for you know farming them is
Eating it
maybe
would be the meat, and
meat,
then you spice it up with the jimbu.
maybe. Oh, this is the typical, Himalayan, uh, as you can see, Himalayan valleys,
With
the
the Buddhist monastery or
monasteries
something.
and Buddhist. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Mm, Lots of tourists can be seen also. This is
Oh
sort of
yeah,
the
yeah.
Jimbu.
Talking
Um,
about tourism, they were actually saying that they're trying to get like foreigners to come and come for the treks there to see
Oh,
the snow
okay.
leopards.
So this is like
And
a sag, not a chive kind of
no,
thing.
no, 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 no,
It's
no, no, no. The sag is separate.
oh,
Sag is
sag is
separate.
separate.
Yeah, that's not the Jimbu. That is
Oh,
not
that's
the
not a Jimbu. Okay.
Jimbu. It talks about the yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
not.
Nepal actually has this famous. I actually I remembered that by seeing this image. That is another article, but Nepal actually has this famous pepper called Timur, which every Nepali would swear by. It's a special kind of black pepper that you find in the that you can only grow in the Himalayan valleys, and it's Timur basically.
Oh, by the way, what I was saying was that that there are also steps to kind of increase the tourism there by bringing in people for snow leopard hikes and snow leopard tours, and that would also be a way that if income is generated via the snow leopards, then the locals might stop killing them. So because
Mm,
then the snow leopards would start providing them with money, like Jimbu would be one source, but snow leopards would be the other source. So that is also
mm,
something that is being explored in that region. So that's great. I think that way there would be a two-way approach of saving the snow leopards.
mm. Yeah, cool. I think that's all we had to say about that story.
Yep. Heading on to the next one, it says wildlife's unpredictable movements make climate change planning difficult. Ecologists long predicted that warming temperatures would drive species northward or to higher elevations, but reality has proven more complex. Only about half of observed range shifts align with these projections. New England's winters have warmed significantly, averaging 4 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit higher than in the 1970s. Yet many species aren't moving as expected. American red squirrels, for instance, move downslope rather than upslope, drawn by recovering red spruce forests instead of fleeing warmth. This suggests that species prioritize habitat quality, rainfall, and food availability over temperature alone. Some species may be entirely unable to relocate due to fragmented habitats. Research also indicates that species moving towards higher latitudes don't necessarily benefit from the shift, challenging long standing ecological assumptions about climate adaptation. Um, and I think this was something probably that they should have buffered into their studies and whatever they were going to predict. That there is a possibility that animals would not behave the way they expected them to behave. And it makes sense also. Like, even if I'm a little uncomfortable, but I'm getting food, then I would prefer the food than stay in a colder place without food.
Mm, mm. I think that's true, and again, the study oftentimes when doing a study, it's very difficult to take every one of those things into account also. Um, but I don't know. But it seems like something that should have been very apparent.
I don't know. I mean, how can it be apparent before? Like, the thing is, until it starts warming, you don't know how they're going to behave. And in general, you would assume that that is how they would behave, because when it gets hotter, it's not like the animals can switch on an AC. So right now they're talking about how in Europe there is a massive shortage for window ACs, and all of them are being exported or like imported from India and neighboring countries, because this is where the ACs are used the most. So there is an option for humans to have an AC if it gets hot, but with animals it's not that. So you just assume that they would find colder areas, but they could also find similar habitats that give you so much more because of the warmth than just try to run away from the heat. And
Mm.
this is what has happened in this case.
I mean, a lot of animals do actually take the you know pleasure of an AC, like in a zoo and things like that.
No,
But
but that is also only the animals that need the AC, right? Or do you think that all animals get that kind of benefit?
I think generally the animals that need the AC,
Mhm.
like polar bears or like lynx or maybe snow leopards and things like that. But generally, I think what you're saying is true. Um, and I think importing from Asian countries also makes sense because you know we are generally a warmer country. Um, and the other part also is that um, this also, I think, links to the El Nino happening, because that will also be sort of impacting the temperature spikes in that region.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one, there's the El Nino happening. Second is the fragmented habitats. So, where the study probably counted for more movement, but if there is no area to move, and whatever area or path they used to take, the animals used to take to uh, go across the landscape and be in newer habitats, if that part doesn't exist, then also animals are kind of trapped wherever they are. So, that is one of the ways that they probably wouldn't move. And the second is, if there are better habitats that they can find, then they probably decide to stay where they are or move downwards than upwards. But there are obviously cases, many documented cases in this article itself, where it says that some of them have definitely moved upwards. So they have gone according to the predictions, but some of them have defied the predictions.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
So I think this is a warning also kind of story, because Europe, which generally used to be cold, is sort of facing that brunt of climate change as well. And there are we, as Meghna said, we can easily adapt with an AC to a certain extent. Again, we can't do it forever. To a certain
Yeah.
extent, we'd be able to adapt with an air conditioner, but uh, after that point, mm, we would also suffer the consequences of this.
Yeah, and I mean all the news coming from the El Nino, it's almost like Europe never prepared itself for such a heat wave, because their infrastructure is melting at these temperatures. So either they use those kind of materials that can only withstand so much temperature, because the same kind of infrastructure in hotter countries wouldn't melt because they're made for that heat. So yeah, like there's a lot of like what do you say, adjustment that goes on. I'll also share a few pictures from the article. uh
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah. Oh, it started with this. mm, yeah, it just talks about the main picture is actually of a puma and its habitats that they've spoken about later. But this is the red squirrel, which is native to the US, and this is one of the species that has defied the scientist prediction. And despite the warmer temperatures, it's moved down slope and rather than upslope. And this is the California Central Valley, and they're moving up to probably the Sierra Nevada mountain range. Some of the species may move up in latitude. This is one of the pictures from the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And then this is lynx and the Canadian lynx. It's saying that it might travel into New
Um,
England when there's like a lot of
just a
snowfall.
correction, quick correction. The red squirrel, I don't think it's native to the US.
It does say
Uh,
native.
that's a native.
Native. Yeah, it says native to the US Northeast.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it does say that. And with the Canadian lynx, it's saying that their patterns are also getting a little unpredictable. When it's very heavy snowfall, then they are coming into like deeper into the snowfall areas and like lower areas as well for their prey. But when it is drier, when there's lesser snowfall, they seem to retreat up higher because there's nothing much to search for in terms of prey. So that is happening with the Canadian lynx as well. So it depends on how much snowfall is happening in which year.
Hmm.
And there are other species, like this butterfly species. It's called an Edith's checker post. And it has adapted by moving to higher latitudes. So this is an image. from the Gold Lake in California. So this has not defied the expectations, it stayed with the expectations. And this is one of the projects in the US where they've made a Florida wildlife corridor. And this Florida wildlife corridor is a 18 million acre network of wildlands. It also has privately owned land and working ranches. I think we've spoken about this once. It
Mm.
provides a safe passageway for the puma. And then if that passageway exists, that means the puma can go higher up if it is not able to adjust to the rising temperature. So this wildlife corridor is a great initiative that allows the pumas to move up.
I think ranching is one of those things that you hear about. It's very prevalent in the subcontinent, American continent. But ranching is one of those things which is like uh, so bad for the environment. But it's good that some of the ranchers nowadays they are sort of opening their ranches up with you know with the passageways.
Aren't
Um,
ranches just like cattle farms? What is the difference between cattle farms and ranches?
Ranches are these, I think, like up to a certain hectare count, you remain a farmer. After that hectare count is exceeded, like we have unlimited land, then you will become a rancher. Like it's like a sea of land. You can't even see the boundary from where you're standing. So it's
But
like
you still rearing cattle in that.
you're still rearing cattle, but after that you become a rancher, basically, no longer a
But
farmer.
but how is it bad for the environment if it is the same amount of cattle but in a bigger space? So that basically means that some amount of the area can remain wild because there's only so much where the cattle is spreading to. Or what is the like? Why is it more polluting or worse than other cattle farms?
um Ranching, because it's large swathes of land. It's large swathes of land that you're deforesting, and you're making space for this particular kind of grass that the cattle will eat, and the cattle is releasing a lot of methane, and you're just clearing out large swathes of land for this particular kind of
Okay,
thing.
so the area has to be cleared. It's not already a cleared or a grassland
Generally
kind
it's
of
not.
area.
Yeah. So in the US there were grasslands and specific species and these migratory routes, um, that you know um, that had to be cleared in to give way for ranching. And then you are, of course, that's where the environmental or the carbon footprint of animal husbandry comes from, right? um, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, yeah. So that is true.
The
But
prairie, how it's called in the US, the grasslands are called prairies, right, in the American
or
context.
are they called savannas? What are
Savannas in
savannas?
the African context,
Okay.
prairies in the um,
In the American
American
context.
context. Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still. I don't know how ranchers get those huge pieces of land, but it's nice to know that they are.
I mean, that is
Um,
all like taken. Like when the Europeans first arrived in the American continent, they just took the land because the Native Americans did not have the concept of ownership.
yeah, but that is everywhere, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah.
It's the same with the Aboriginals in Australia, and it is the
True.
same with Maori in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They were all tricked into signing treaties where they thought they were getting equal rights, but then they realized later that they were tricked. And that is the story everywhere. I think the natives were sidelined, and even the
Hmm.
natives weren't natives. At least in New Zealand, I mean, they arrived from somewhere else.
I mean,
Um,
everywhere except Africa, everywhere except Africa, no one is like native. Like, how do you define native? How far do you have to go back to call someone native? That is,
Yeah, but I mean, with New Zealand, it was literally like 1300 or something like that, right? So
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't, yeah, yeah. So
Like,
it's
that is the
still,
thing, na? How long you have to go back to call someone native? That is the question then.
No, but that means that and I mean they do say that when the Maoris arrived, then that is why the Moas went extinct. So they were not native because if they were native, they wouldn't have caused the extinction of
No, but
one of
humans
the
have always
iconic
caused
birds.
extinction. Like I think we discussed
No, but
this.
they cause extinction when they go and plunder new areas. This is one of the facts that's written in *Sapiens* as well, in Yuval Noah Harari's *Sapiens*, that humans went to newer areas, and then the bigger animals that they saw, because they had tools, then they started killing the bigger animals, something like the moa, and they did not realize that all these bigger animals had slow reproductive cycles,
Yes,
which
but
meant
what
that
I'm saying is, I think we discussed this in another episode, and we did a short about it as well. When the humans first came to Australia, there were multiple species that went extinct. But that was 60,000 years ago. Would you call them native Australians, the Aboriginal Australians? That was 60,000 years ago. One of the first waves of out of Africa migration. So humans have always done that. Even in Africa, humans have done caused
yeah, but
extinction
that's
of
what
a lot
I'm
of species.
saying. When humans land at some land, then that is where the extinction happens. Till they don't land there, no extinction happens.
Yeah, but humans
So
have to have somewhere to stay, like land, as in.
it's literally the entire planet that they've
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
over, right?
exactly. So you can't like
And
single
and
out
and
any
I
one
also
area
want to
more
know.
than other.
I want to know, like, it's so weird. Like the scientists feel like, oh my god, why are the animals not behaving how they should? But as humans, we decided to go to colder areas instead of warmer areas. Like we didn't just seek out warmer areas, even though even now tribes that you find like secluded, uncontacted tribes, are all in very hot places, like hot as in like tropical places where you can be probably naked with that whatever coconut leaves
Loincloth.
around your waist. Hmm?
Loincloth.
Yeah, not a cloth, but just the leaves,
Mm.
right? But when we went into the harsher north, then we had to come up, like we had to hunt these animals, make fur coats and make fur things and everything. So did we not defy our own expectations? We are not meant to be
No,
a cold
we are
place
warm-blooded.
animal.
We generally do not, you know, track well in colder areas. But I think it's it's generally the matter of the thing we hate is, I don't know, sharing land. Thing human hates is sharing land, I guess, or sharing
They hate
resources.
sharing. I mean, they hate sharing land with humans itself. So forget about animals.
Yeah, no, no,
Like
sharing land with
they
humans. I'm saying other humans, sharing land or sharing resources with other humans. So that, uh, see, we don't have. I don't think we have a definite uh, extension of or a definite uh, reason we haven't figured it out yet of why humans migrated out of Africa, because there were like few hundreds there in a such a small space, such a big space, but still we felt the need to migrate. I don't know why. It might have been wanderlust, or it might have been we just grew tired of our neighbors. Could have been either.
You're saying that something like wanderlust existed when we hardly um, knew what our brain wanted,
Yeah,
and
I think. I mean, that is my, because in lack of evidence from science, that is my artistic liberty that I'm taking in guessing what they
so
might have
you're
done.
saying that time they were like, oh my god, we need to go to a new place so we can make fur coats and we can make
Yeah, I
these
mean,
more
either
designer
that,
tools to hunt like more designer animals.
yeah, either
And
that or that neighbor, all my neighbors are really bothering me, so I am taking my family and going away somewhere else. These are the two reasons I can come up with.
are
But
you saying that people started migrating after they they did not, no, they still did not like have agriculture. They started being nomadic long before agriculture came into play. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
in fact, they were nomadic till agriculture came into play. Agriculture
correct,
is what
correct,
caused people to settle down and not
right,
move anymore. But till that time, they were nomadic,
right.
and it also baffles me, like it baffles these scientists, that we were okay going to colder places. Like we kept plundering a lot of cold places instead of just the warm places. We just
Yeah.
didn't stay
So,
in the
what is your
equatorial
guess?
belt.
What could have been the reason that we did that? The only
Probably
reason that
because
comes to my
we,
mind is that I'm tired of my neighbors.
yeah, but if you're saying there were just hundreds of humans across Africa, then
Yeah.
where are you getting tired of these neighbors if you hardly
Exactly.
have
Exactly my point.
neighbors?
Exactly my point. Um, Nobody, like science evidence based answers we do not have yet.
So, see, we don't have answers for that. So, we don't have answers for this as well. Why the animals are not behaving like the scientists want them to behave. We did not behave like how we should have behaved. So, I mean,
Um.
we don't really get to call on the animals to behave how they should behave.
Now we know more. We don't have evidence for that. That's why we don't know um, how we should have behaved at that time. But we have evidence for this, scientific evidence, so we know how animals should be behaving.
Yeah, but but evidence does not mean that it should happen exactly how the evidence claims it to be, right?
Like nature generally tends to follow like a very set pattern.
If it
Um,
was if it was supposed to do that, then the El Nino and the massive heat waves and the western disturbances and everything that's happening right now, that's not happening according to pattern. That's happening because of fury. I feel like
yeah,
so much anger.
wrath of nature.
Yeah, it has so much anger that what are you even doing? Like, why are you making it hard for me to enjoy this planet? So I will do this. Everything's actually getting very intense. The rains, the heat, the tornadoes, the typhoons, the tsunamis, the cyclones, you name it, everything is getting intense. It's also going to places it shouldn't exist in, and we still blindly believe that climate change does not exist.
Yeah, that is the I don't want to use a harsh word, but that is very delusional. Whoever thinks that way. Um, right.
Yeah.
Speaking of us harming nature and nature unleashing her wrath, wrath on us. This is a story that comes from the Amazon. It says, as Amazon oil drilling begins, scientists warn of risks to a little known reef. Petrobras. Petrobras. We talked about Petrobras, I think, last episode as well. The Petroleum Brazil has begun drilling in Brazil's equatorial margin after years of political, scientific, and environmental disputes. The state oil company received its environmental license from IBAMA in October 2025, following multiple denied requests and intense political pressure, including from President Lula. The drilling site, Block FZA M 59, where the Morpho well is located, sits less than 40 kilometers from the Amazon Reef system, a biodiversity rich formation first officially described by researchers in 2016. Scientists remain divided over the reef's full composition and extent, while environmentalists accuse stakeholders of minimizing their ecological significance. The Amazon's region unparalleled ecosystems, including the world's largest tropical forest and continuous mangrove belt, make any exploration activity a source of major environmental concern among researchers and civil society organizations. And the discussion question we have here is, when a nation's economic development depends on exploiting virgin ecosystems, is it really worth risking?
I mean, it's never worth risking
Mm,
the environment. And we just spoke about it. I mean, we spoke about climate change, we spoke about El Nino, we spoke about everything that's going haywire. Between all of that, I still do not understand why we are drilling into places that were not drilled before. why we cannot just find other places that are probably closer to places that have already been exploited, so there is not that much environmental damage. And we've done this story before, right? Oops, with like even photos showing where where they're planning to drill, and what kind of animals it's going to affect, the movement of these animals that move from the river systems into the sea. We spoke about all of these on in I think a couple of episodes earlier, and still this drilling is going ahead, like despite I think a lot of
Shock and
resistance.
reporting
Yeah,
and
and
resistance.
resistance. Yeah.
So I'll share some photos from the article as well. Again, we associate Amazon with the forest, the rainforest, but it has a beautiful reef ecosystem as well. This is a photograph from underwater. And then there is this map that basically shows that um, where the Petrobras is operating right now. That is the blue, the light blue or the cyan squares. These are the current operations, and the yellow operations are the new operations that um, the Petrobras is basically planning. So you
Wow,
can
that's
see
across the
it across the
uh
reef system.
yeah, across the reef system, and that's at a lot of distance as well. So that means that they're plundering across the entire coastline, like across the reef
Exactly.
system from top to north,
and
from top to
and
south.
you can see that all these things are at depths of merely like 1,600 to 2,000 or 3,000 meters. These are the prime habitats or the prime places where the reefs can exist. Beyond that is deep sea or deep ocean. Their reef systems and the vibrancy of reef system do not really exist, but these are the prime territory for reefs to form and reefs to sustain themselves. So um, again, these like as the article also says, I think the the river's freshwater plume directly influences the reef environment. It carries large amounts of organic material and nutrients that serves as food for lives. This is one of the people that has been quoted here. They say it's a series of interconnected ecosystems known as meta ecosystem. Many species that are born in mangroves, for example, will later live on the reef. So this interconnected nature of ecosystems, we we I think that is what I was pointing at in the first story that we did about the Jimbu, that everything is so interconnected. And for us to think any otherwise, it's just, just delusional of us.
Yeah. And the sad part is that, Said already mentioned, we always do one story on Amazon. It might be about drilling inland, it's drilling in the reef system, but something or the other that's always happening in the Amazon. And we usually see more negative stories than positive stories. I think the one time we saw some recycled paper story, that was the only positive story that I can recount. It's always a sad story, and there are people from the forest as well that, someone like Paul Rosley, he actively um, what do you say, advocates for the Amazon. He stays inside and he advocates for it. He shows us the reality of how the trees are being cut there, and how the deforestation is happening. And Amazon is that last, like the lungs of the earth, as Ops always puts it. So if you're going to lose that as well, it's going to be horrendous. And if all and everything, however nature is trying to indicate to us that, stop doing this, and we're still not listening, then we're probably going to keep facing more and more fury from her.
Mm, mm. Yeah, there is actually no other way this can go, because even after so much reporting, if and uproar, if Petrobras is still not looking for alternatives, then it's really sad. Another question there, I think, for us. in general for I don't know if we can answer that question, but I'll ask anyway. That how would society react? For example, this is the drilling that is happening, although it is for economic reasons, but ultimately at the end of the day, it is for human consumption, right? For the petrol that we use to drive, or the diesel, or all the petrochemical things like plastic water bottles and things like that. How would society react if suddenly these things go away? And the reason the government gives the people is that because of these tree huggers, we cannot drill anymore. So that's why we cannot extract any petrol and you cannot drive to work.
Honestly, if the government is going to place it that way or say it that way, then people would actually be angry with the tree huggers and they would be like, oh, my convenience is coming at a cost because you care about the environment. And if the government is going to play it off and blame it on the tree huggers instead of why it is crucial to save that area, then it depends on how it is said as well. The problem also now is with climate change, with global warming, it is in your face, but it's not so much in your face that people would start giving up on their conveniences. Now,
Mm,
that would happen at some point of time, definitely in the future. Going by how things already are, probably 10 to 15 years down the future, there would be trade-offs that we would have to make. Like there probably would be a time that we have to go back to older systems, like there'll be horse carts, buffalo carts, and all EV or something. I mean, we have to do something that
that's a
would
stretch for you to think that we'd go back to horse carts. We can never go back to horse carts
you never know, you
because
never know.
the speed of
Like,
life has exponentially increased. I don't know. I don't think we can ever
speed
go back
has
to horse
increased.
carts.
The speed has increased, but that is what you need to do, right? You need to reduce the speed now. That is what nature wants you to do. It wants you to slow down and be like, please protect me. If you're not going to protect me, then I'm not going to protect you. So that's the kind of deal that's happening right now. So I
Mm,
don't know if it will go back to that era, but I mean the kind of dependency that we have on fossil fuels and other things, that probably has to reduce somehow, because the amount of people there are and the amount of people that are coming in, um yeah, like the earth can take only so much and can only provide for so much, so there is some kind of breaking point that is coming in,
mm,
even with nature.
mm.
Do you ever wonder though, like, with our generation already, like we have this huge burden, like for gender rights, animal rights, environment rights, and we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep doing something about it. We have to make changes in our lifestyle. With everyone bringing in kids into this equation, how are they going to deal with everything like 20 years down the line? Like, what is their life going to be like?
Either we have solved climate change by then because of the falling birth rates and falling population rates. Either we'll like we won't need to again, as I have said multiple times, that all of this is happening because there are so many of us.
No, the
Um,
falling birth rate is going to happen much later. Like it's going to go up to 11 billion and then start dipping down. That is what the predictions show. 8
I
billion,
think
11 billion. Yeah.
mm, I think the Earth can will probably be able to take 11 billion people.
It probably can, but I'm just saying, like, the amount of burden that we carry on our shoulders for the environment and for everything else that we're fighting for. Um, like, I honestly don't know how it's going to be for like the generations coming forward, like the kind of burden that they
Yeah,
have
I
to.
mean, definitely there will be a lot of pain and suffering. On top of all the pain and suffering that things like social media is causing, I think
Yeah.
there will be a lot of pain and suffering because of all the actions that we refuse to stop taking.
That is true. I mean, social media is another topic. I think it's like one of those devils that we don't see. But social media is actually one of those reasons that people don't have organic connections anymore. It's a very mm, technological world. Now we live through screens and we connect through screens and we breathe through screens. And it's probably going to get more and more that way.
Hmm.
um, like recently when we've gone to restaurants, like people tell us that please review us, please give us 5 stars. So I was like, oh, it's almost like Black Mirror. Like eventually people will say, please rate me, give me 5 star.
Hmm.
So
I
right
mean,
now
it
it's for the
already happens,
services.
like um, Rapido and Uber and all these
Yeah,
things.
but that is for the service, right? That's for the company or for the
Again,
service. Like
that's
it's
what we
not.
keep
It's
telling ourselves, that it is for something else. It is not for me.
yeah. I mean,
Because
it's
if
not.
I
It's
have
not for
lower
my
ratings,
personality. It's not for my
it
personality, or
is
it's
for your personality. Like, it is, there's no other way. If you receive a less than 5 star rating or less than 4 star rating, I think, as a rider or as a customer, you are actually downgraded to worse cars. That is the truth
really.
in Uber.
Oh, so they have equal power on you as you
Exactly.
have on them.
Exactly.
Mm, okay.
So
Yeah.
it is rating you. You have caused some nuisance. You have caused some, you have spoken loudly or whatever. It is rating you as
Wait.
a
So
person.
you are then matched with drivers that have low ratings as well. Is that how it's going?
No,
That your personality is not great. Let us match you with the driver's personality. That's not great.
I mean, I don't know if that happens. I don't know the exact
You
algorithm,
you
but
just said that. You said
no, but people
you're
have
like
rated.
team with worse cars. So what does worse cars means?
Worse cars means smaller cars, older cars, and
Oh, so
those
the
things.
drivers could be good.
Drivers could be good.
That doesn't sound very nice then.
Yeah. So that is the penalty that people have guessed. Again, we don't know about these. These algorithms are very secret. These companies tend to keep it that way or try to keep it that way. But that is what people have from lived experiences and anecdotal evidences. Some people on the internet have gathered that you are matched with worse cars, smaller cars. You're not given the premium cars. Like, premium cars is newer cars. Newer cars obviously are more, feature rich and more comfortable. Generally, that's how it goes. So you're not given the newer cars basically. Now, who is
Okay.
driving
So
that car? I don't know if that matters in this algorithm,
I
particular
mean, it
algorithm.
should, right? It should, because if your behavior or your personality was the ticker, then it should be matched with someone's behavior that was a ticker as well. Than with a smaller car, it should be like bad personality with bad personality is a good
Yeah, could
match.
be, could be. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think overall it will be a very turbulent time for the future generations.
true. And talking about turbulent times, um, let's talk about the next topic. It says a marine heat wave caused seabird deaths of California. El Nino could worsen the die off. A marine heat wave off California is causing mass seabird starvation as fish move to deeper, cooler waters. Scientists report the persistent heat wave has reduced the band of cold, nutrient rich surface water near shore where krill, anchovies, and sardines normally thrive. Wildlife rehabilitation facilities across California have been overwhelmed with hundreds of emaciated birds brought in by the public since the heat wave intensified in spring 2026. Experts fear the crisis will worsen with the formation of the El Nino, which began in June 2026. El Nino naturally warms parts of the Central Pacific, altering global weather patterns and raising temperatures worldwide, potentially compounding the already devastating effects on marine bird populations along the California coast. And for people who don't know, basically these seabirds are birds that live on the sea or are there on the sea for a long time. They can kind of dive down into the water for a few meters, find fish, and then come up, and then they depend on these fish, like the fish in the sea, not anything else on the land, not anything else in the sea, but these particular fish. And they have the ability to actually dive down. They have also these wings that dry really fast. They have like waxy feathers. So
Mm.
if the fish do not exist in the areas that they have to hunt, then they do end up being starved.
Mm. I think seabirds are very important in the sea ecosystem as well, in ocean ecosystem as well. So, you know,
Yeah, they have their
yeah.
own part in balancing the ecosystem by feeding on the fish.
Mm.
There are these massive bait balls that happen sometimes where like there are sardine runs where there are like a load of sardines that come to a space, and in those areas then there are like a load of seabirds and sharks and whales and all
Dolphins.
animals that come, and dolphins that come to feast on these little fish. So it's a well-known phenomena that the seabirds are just as important as everything else in that ecosystem.
100%. 100%. Um, I don't know. El Nino. It's this time seems like a lot more intense than the previous times it has happened, right?
Yeah, it's being talked about more. It's being I think it's also because of Europe. Like if it happened in Africa or it
Mm.
happened in South America, it probably wouldn't have been spoken so much. Like I mean, they would have just been like, yeah, fine, there's like a heat wave, so there would have been lesser coverage. But I think because there were like record temperatures like 40 degrees to 44 degrees, which is absolutely not normal for Europe. I mean, it's normal in tropical areas, it's normal in subtropical areas, but it's not normal in Europe. So that is why probably it's being talked about so much, because it's it was extremely abnormal.
Mm. And also because um, those are the countries with with like the more money, so they can sort of publicize this more than probably is you know the
I think it's one, the money, two, that is just how it operates. Like let's say if there is like a, like I'm in Gurgaon, if there's a flood that happens in Delhi or Gurgaon, there's so much more coverage, there's so much talk about it for like a couple of days about how lives come to a standstill, how things are happening. It's happening with like the news in Bombay with the red alert. But if it happens in some northeastern state which is not very well known, then there would be very minimal coverage. It would just go under the rug. So it is just about which areas are talked about more, which areas bring in more money, which, so probably, yeah, like that might be one of the uh, reasons. I'm going to quickly once share my screen so I show you guys a few pictures from this. But fair warning, it could be a little distressing. This is a photo of one of the starving seabirds that's washed up on the beach. It's a very sad photo. It's a photo of a dead seabird. This is a photo of a pelican that's undergoing a surgery, and it's just before the surgery that the pelican's being held. This is a common murre. How do you pronounce it?
Muir,
Oops, do you know? Mur?
Muir, Muir.
Muir. Muir. Okay. It spreads its wings in one of the rehabilitation tanks. So this tank uh, probably helps them gain that strength, and then,
Oh, this is in
uh,
SeaWorld. Okay.
yeah, but it's the SeaWorld's Animal Rescue Center.
Of course, they have an
So
animal rescue center. Otherwise, how are they legitimizing their main business?
yeah, it's just the CSR branch of SeaWorld.
Correct.
But yeah, but they would be feeding the birds as well. And then this is again the pelican. It's
Mm.
holding the wing of the pelican during surgery. So there are
At
surgeries
SeaWorld.
as well. Yes. Oh, this is all around SeaWorld, isn't it? See, this is also SeaWorld. This is SeaWorld. This is SeaWorld.
Yeah.
This is not SeaWorld. But yeah, I mean
Is this the
SeaWorld or
puff
not,
piece of SeaWorld?
yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it's a puff piece, but it's not really helping, right? Because the article's talking about birds dying left, right, and center. It's not really talking
Mm.
about SeaWorld saving them. The title would have been very different. It's talking
Mm.
about how the seabirds are dying. Um, but there are, I think, more problems for the birds. Like it's not just the starvation, but they're also facing this avian bird flu that we
Mm.
spoke about last time. That's been spreading to marine mammals as well. So birds have to deal with living through the flu and also not having enough food. So that's like a lot of problems for these, for not just seabirds, but migratory birds, all kinds of birds.
And I
So
think
yeah,
uh, these seabirds are a particularly dangerous host for these kinds of flus because these seabirds will sometime come on land for breeding and as such, where they can have those contacts with other animals and birds on that particular land, and then they will go a lot of travel long distances. And that's why I think the last time the article that we covered was it reaching Antarctica,
Yeah,
one of the remotest places.
and remote Australian islands, and that is how it's reaching because these seabirds migrate there, and
Mm,
then the marine mammals feast on them, and then in its interspecies connected the flu,
mm.
so it gets transferred, and yeah,
That
that is
actually
why they're
sounds,
dying.
very scary.
Yeah, and it is scary because it's just spreading like wildfire. It's also really sad knowing that seabirds are just dying. There's nothing much you can do or we can do because there is nothing much we can do to bring those fish back, and there's
Because
nothing much we can
also,
do.
if I think about it, like in these remote places, there is no like wildlife management that is being done or that can be done because there is no human settlements there, or maybe a ranger every like six
No,
months or something they would go visit. And,
even if you had human management, how are you going to like um monitor which birds are landing from there and then go to like a elephant seal or another big seal and say no, 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 you can't eat that, and
hmm.
then like take the seal away from, like
No,
take the
maybe
bird away
like
from
through
it.
vaccinations and things like that.
I honestly don't know. Like if it did exist, would bird flu have spread so much? Like it started with actually like closed enclosed birds, right? Like with
Hmm.
chickens and all. If it
Hmm.
started in environments that were controlled, then I don't know how it became uncontrolled in the first place. So we just don't have a solution for that
Hmm.
flu. Yeah.
Hmm. This is actually, again, I think, again, my fear also comes from the place where we, as a society, we have gotten very used to everything being in our control, or something that is out of our control is very scary for us. Not because it's out of our, just not because that it's a dangerous thing, but also because it is, out of our control. So, um, I think this is one of those things as well.
Yeah. We'll have to wait. We can't wait and watch, but this is just going to keep getting worse because the El Ninos are more frequent. The colder bands are disappearing, so it is. So it might not affect like whales and seals and other animals that can dive deeper for these fish yet. Like it might not affect them yet, but for
Mm,
the birds, it's a sad news because these birds can only dive for a few meters. If the fish are not arriving at a time that they should be arriving, then these birds are bound to die.
that is a dangerous and saddening prospect. Um, just a call out to anyone listening, either live or the recorded version. If you guys know of anyone who's working on the solution, working on this particular issue, um, do connect us to them. We'd love to have them over in the show and discuss the recourse that can be taken and some solutions that can happen in this scenario. But
Yeah. Yep. Mm,
right,
going on to the next topic. Oops.
yeah, I will quickly do the a short update then. Um, this story comes from the Hindu, and this is about again our plundering of nature, um, and all the things that's going on in that direction. Um, this is titled "Public Accounts Committee Asks Home Minister for Report on Great Nicobar Project." Now, the title sounds very, nonchalant, but actually the story is a deeper one, and we have been sort of following this story for a few episodes now. So, Public Accounts Committee, or PSC chairperson KC Venugopal, has requested a report from the Union Ministry, Home Ministry, on the Great Nicobar project. raising concerns about the planned felling of 1.5 crore or 150 million trees and exploitation of the island's fragile ecosystem for commercial purposes. He also noted that the naval base INS Baz or INS Eagle was denied additional land for expansion. Congress MP Amar Singh supported these concerns, while BJP MP Anurag Thakur, we don't need to go into the politics, um, Venugopal agreed but directed Home Secretary Govind Mohan to submit a comprehensive project report. The meeting's official agenda concerned the Andaman and Nicobar Islands Institute of Medical Sciences, where the CAG flagged massive funding deficits, construction delays, over 40% equipment shortfalls, and inadequate patient cares. So you're not prioritizing a hospital, you're not prioritizing medical things for humans, you're prioritizing this INS bars or whatever, naval base, military operation, basically expanding military operations, and you are felling 1.5 crore trees.
Actually, it's not the naval base that they want to expand. The naval base is one of the things that they want to expand. The main thing is they want to build a transshipment port, like a
Hmm.
port, so they have an additional port. And that port is being given to Adani, who is obviously been in a lot of turmoil with the
Industrialization.
Hindenburg, yeah, with the Hindenburg report and all of that. So doesn't have the best of the reputation as well. The point here being that this is an environmentally fragile area,
Right.
and the environment ministry is not taking that into account, the kind of project, the kind of reports that have come in, and the kind of um, what do you say, the base work that has been done. It's quite disappointing because there is more push towards destroying this environment than protecting this environment. We've already plundered enough, and we speak about this all the time. If the transshipment port is something that is not needed, then it is not needed. I mean, you do not have to justify it by saying that, oh, nothing will happen to this environment. If you're going to cut 1.5 crore trees, yes, it is going to completely change the landscape
Mm.
in that area, and everyone knows that island landscapes are very different as opposed to mainland landscapes. Mainland landscapes can still take more plunging, but island landscapes are smaller, and they
Very
have their own
fragile, very
ecosystem, yeah.
sensitive.
So they cannot take that kind of beating. The kind of reef systems there and the kind of trees there are very different, and they're indigenous. So I honestly am not in support of what is happening. I hope, even though the opposition is probably just opposing because they have to oppose, I hope that things go in a way that this project doesn't go ahead, and there are better things that they can better in terms of the medical um, facilities there
Mm.
instead of all of this.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever be the motive of the opposition, I'm not concerned as long as this does not happen. I'm just sharing this one picture that is there in the one image that is there in the article. It's a postcard. It's a beautiful looking scenery from this particular um, island, one of these islands. And look at this. These are very very primal and very old forests. Uh, very intricate ecosystems that exist in these forests, very beautiful birds and uh, other fauna that exist here. So I feel like disturbing any of this, we have already disturbed it. Like, it's not like we haven't, but cutting down 15 million or 1.5 crore trees, um it's total, like, how can someone in their right mind say that the two
It
things
doesn't
in one
have, yeah.
sentence, like
No.
we're cutting down 15 million trees, and there won't be so much impact, or we
Yes,
can deal with the impact.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, you see a few trees cut down in the cities, and you can see that there's more dust storms, and you can see that there's more pollution. You can see that there's not like enough cover. You can see the rain patterns changing. You can see all of those changes just in a city when, like, there's some amount of deforestation. But you go to this ecologically fragile ecosystem, and you say that I'm going to plunder it, but I think it's going to be fine. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, makes
That is an
zero sense.
oxymoronic statement.
It is, but then we do know that leaving the oxy part, that is how most of the world leaders are.
Well, um, that's actually the truth.
Yes.
Um,
Um,
this is a story that we'll keep following. Um, Something worth following. Again, there is strong opposition on this, which I'm glad for, having that, whatever be their motives. And we'll see this heads to, and how this settles down. But for
yes.
now, the future looks bleak.
Yep. We will keep you updated. And talking about, not really updates, but this is something that's happening in Europe. So we spoke about the El Nino. It is Switzerland's glaciers. Swiss glaciers shrink as climate crisis fuels extreme heat across Europe. Switzerland's glaciers are expected to reach glacier loss day by Monday, the second earliest date ever recorded as the European heat wave accelerates melting. This milestone marks when all winter accumulated snow and ice has melted, meaning every subsequent day until October causes net glacier ice loss. Matthias Huss of Glamours called conditions 3 months too early compared to a healthy state, noting 1 meter of ice melted vertically in just 10 days at the Rhone Glacier. The early arrival results from intense heat waves, an unusually warm May, and 25% below average winter snowfall. Conditions closely mirror 2022, the worst year on record for alpine glacier melt. Huss emphasized that prolonged extreme warmth, not a single heat wave, poses the greatest threat to glaciers. Um, and I think this is not just with Switzerland, but I think it's everywhere. It's just because again it's Europe, and we're talking about glacial loss day. We're talking about the heat wave there. We're talking about this, but even in your own, like wherever you've grown up, you would have seen this change. So recently I was in this mountainous region, and our driver has grown up there, so he was telling us how he would see these mountains, like this range which is called the Doladar. He would see them always with snow, like 12 months in a year, like there was never a day without snow. And now you could barely see any snow on those mountains. There were just like slivers of snow on them. And he said everything has changed. He's not someone who is well educated and probably climate change or global warming, but he accepts and he acknowledges that the change is real. So you can see those mountains devoid of snow, and it's the same thing that's probably happening now in Switzerland. And to know that the worst year was 2022, and just 4 years later the second worst year is 2026. So the third worst year, or the worst year, I don't know if it's looming in the next 3 to 4 years.
I think these are things we keep talking about, and it's getting worse and worse. Um,
Yeah, and I think also there's one amazing thing that I've learned. I didn't know that there was a glacier lost day. Like, this is something that's new to me, where they where that milestone is saying that all the snow that was accumulated in the winter has melted, and from now till when it snows again, then every day is a net glacier ice loss. Did you know about this? It's like a new
mm,
thing for me.
I did not.
Yeah, so that's actually a good way to count and know what kind of loss is happening. But there are two problems here. One, obviously, because of the heat and because of the changing weather patterns, there's lesser snow in the winters, and at the same time, there is more heat in the summers. So, all in all, it becomes a net loss because the snow is melting faster because there's not enough snow. And then because there is more heat, the glaciers are also melting once the snow layer on top of the glaciers is gone. All of these glaciers get covered by the snow, and because the snow is on top of them, when it gets hot as well, it's the snow that first melts, not the glaciers. So if the snow is gone, then the glaciers are just exposed to the heat, to the sun, and they melt faster than ever.
Mm. This
Yeah.
is something that we need to be very aware of, because melting glaciers means those ecosystems are changing. Planet is obviously getting warmer. That's That's the it's like a sign that planet is getting warmer. And then also sea levels. These water will go somewhere, and then ultimately into the sea, basically.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
also the fact that if we are going to be losing all the glaciers, that means we're going to lose all forms of fresh water. So it's the glaciers that keep the rivers running. It's not, I mean, from there, when the snow melts, when the glaciers melt, that is when we get these rivers and the fresh water. So if they're gone and they're completely gone, then the only water we would have left is the seawater. And that would mean that we would have to double our efforts of somehow filtering the seawater enough to make it drinkable, which is happening in a lot of places. But this would start to happen on a bigger scale and a wider scale, because it would mean that everyone everywhere across the earth needs to have that kind of water.
hmm. Water again, as far as we know, life cannot exist without water.
Yeah,
We
I
only
mean,
have
the
the
life
evidence
on
of Earth.
earth. Yeah.
We only have the evidence of Earth. We haven't found any other evidence. So we can say it as a factual statement that life cannot exist without water until proven otherwise. So water is the core of every life on Earth, not just all the animals, but also for us. And without water, I don't think we have a very good chance or good odds of surviving.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I i honestly don't know, again, with this with the fish story and this story, there's nothing much. As humans, the only thing we can do is change our habits, slow down, so that we don't cause El Ninos and we don't cause the kind of destruction that is causing these heat waves to happen and all the accelerated changes to happen. But it's easier said than done. Like things like the El Nino are now not in our hand at all. So if the El Nino is occurring every year, it's getting stronger, it's getting worse. Um, this is a very, very strong message. Like, we can get ACs, we can survive, but if the environment is dying, then we don't really have anything to live on for. Like, we really need nature to survive. We don't need internet to survive. We don't need everything else that we use to survive. We literally need trees for the oxygen, and we need the water from the rivers. We need it to survive.
Hmm. And like um, we cannot like do not seem to appreciate it enough, or we don't have the capacity to appreciate it. Maybe I don't know. There is a proverb in Hindi that you know the the chicken that you rear in your home is you never look at it in a way or give it any importance. Um,
Is it the घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर?
correct.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. So yes. So yeah, these are like kind of interconnected topics: the El Nino birds one and the El Nino glaciers. Um, it's not just Switzerland, but glaciers across the world are melting. It's only because of El Nino that they're talking about Swiss glaciers. And for anyone who has visited Switzerland or all of these places where you see the glaciers, it's beautiful watching these glaciers. So it's going to be really hard knowing that probably generations in the future won't have glaciers to look at. They won't be able to go on hikes because there is no water left in the rivers to drink from. So where are they going to fill up their water bottles? It's going to be like a very bleak future. We're probably going to be pushed back into the coastlines in Africa, something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, um, again, I think today has been a heavy episode, but which is good, which I'm not complaining. But it is the state of our planet is such that we do not have the option to ignore anymore.
Yeah. What is the next topic? Oops.
Hmm. Let's see. Um, Let me do this one where it says again lot of things from the EU and their I guess their superiority that they're trying to project. But here this is uh, an expose kind of article which says leaked document shows EU closer to dropping leather from anti-deforestation law. The European Commission is moving to exempt leather from the EU deforestation regulation it despite its own internal findings linking leather to widespread deforestation. Of course, because you know cows, that's where leather we get leather from. A leaked draft document obtained by Eura Euracetive, I don't know, and reviewed by Mongabe, reveals the Commission acknowledges leather's low compliance costs, but cites supply chain considerations and load on the information system as justification for removal. This contradicts easier internal consultant reports explicitly connecting leather to forest destruction. This commission declined to comment on the document's authenticity, of course, following a feedback period that ended June 1. Formal adoption of the Delegated Act is expected within weeks. The European Parliament and Council will then have 2 months to object to proposed revisions before the changes automatically take effect. Um,
And this, I mean, I still don't understand. I mean, I don't feel like leather is one of those things that is done and dusted with. Like there's fall leather in the market now. Even if there's like genuine leather, that is like a small niche market where like really rich people want to show off like genuine leather. I don't see the point of having genuine leather in the system at all. Obviously, I understand that if you have a cow and you're abusing it enough to take its milk again and again, and then you kill it, and then you have its skin, so it's going for the leather. Yes, it's a cycle, but at the same time, like obviously, I don't know if it's the same cows that can be used for the leather. Because probably
yeah,
leather
actually.
also has its, yeah, but leather probably also has its own, what do you say, um prerequisites of how the skin of the cow should be. Like, I don't know if all cows and all skins are same. Like, you know how for even steak there are like certain cows that are fed only certain things so that they fatten up and then they are really juicy.
Look, there
So
can be grades of leather, but every cow hide can be used. Essentially.
yeah, so in this basically they're saying that if it's also leather that is causing
Look, the one point I want to make sure, um, you know, the leather, natural leather, is valued at over 400 billion. It's a 400 to 500 billion dollar industry.
still.
So still, so
Wow.
number one and number two, I think why EU is doing that. All the I guess show offy things that you mentioned, all the brands like Gianna and Coco Chanel and all these brands, they exist in Europe. Um, uh, Dior
But
and all these
I
things,
assumed I
Louis
assumed
Vuitton.
that a lot of people have shifted
That
to
is a
fall
wrong
leather.
assumption, I think.
The fall leather thing.
Yeah, maybe a lot in India where there is a lot of knockoffs, but even in India, I think there is a lot of leather because India is one of the global producers of cow hides and also like final goods, leather goods.
Probably because it's like the second biggest exporter of beef as well. Not beef, but yeah, beef. Yeah.
I mean
So, or
that really does not matter. Um,
but it goes hand in hand, right? Like if you're exporting beef, then you have the skin to produce the leather. So yeah,
I mean, New
but
Zealand also exports beef. It's the biggest export in New Zealand, but
that is
New
true.
Zealand does not produce any leather. So,
But why do you think that is the cause, the reason? I mean, they
so
they
I
have a
think
market there,
right
right?
now the the leather has to go through a tanning process, which is basically removing all the fur and all these things to make it workable. Um, but that process is very toxic. So all these countries are right now trying to
Toxic in the sense that it's toxic fumes
chemicals.
that the humans cannot breathe.
No, no toxic. You know, waste that is released into the waterways.
I mean, that is with a lot of industries. I think the toxic waste is a big issue. But here, the funny part is it's ironic because they have only found, the European Commission has only found in its internal findings that uh, leather is completely and directly linked to widespread deforestation, because obviously they are going to cut down trees, so there are more cow farms. And these cow farms, it could be like some cow farms are dedicated only to leather, or they're dedicated to something else plus leather. But if they are going to take they're not going to take their own findings seriously, and then they're going to reverse it, then that makes zero sense.
Yeah, I just want to make a small correction that New Zealand does produce some leather, but not in the scale that it exports beef, basically.
Okay. Yeah, and the thing is, um, it's so weird, and their justification for it is that there is load on the information system, and there are supply chain considerations, so that is why they should, uh,
I think
just take leather
it's a
off.
really diplomatic way of saying that all our biggest brands here are producers, so we want to give the brands the you know
Yeah,
the
and the problem is that the document was leaked. The commission did not comment. And now that same act is there in front of the parliament. So we will have to keep updated, because we will only know in the next couple of weeks if, or next couple of months, if this actually passed. And that would mean that obviously there would be more areas that would be commissioned to be deforested and be given for more leather production.
yeah. I think that is
And if you're listening, yeah, sorry, but if you're listening to this episode, please stop buying leather. You do not need leather products.
this is a just a image of like a leather expo or the event, a leather event. You can see the book of leather. It's called the book of leather. You have different hides, different cow hides with prints, or sometimes even exotic hides. I've been to one of these expos in a past life. So yeah, there's a lot of leather that is around. Very. You get the typical smell of leather. And yeah, the designers basically, um, they basically gather around these leather producers or leather tanners basically to choose the leather for their next design or something like that. So it is a huge 500 400 billion, over 400 billion dollar industry. That is a lot. That in no way is a small industry at all. And yeah, there's some expos are happening. Linapel, uh, there's some protest going on as well. Correct, rightly so, outside the event. Um, and you know, someone in the EU Parliament doing a thumbs down action. And this is what we generally use them for. It's a huge market, especially in the leather bags and leather accessories. Leather bags generally for women, leather accessories both for men and women, and leather shoes generally for men and women as well. But yeah, it's a huge industry.
Yeah, and it's a useless industry. I mean, you have a lot of different alternatives.
I mean, faux leather is not good in any way. It's also bad. It's
No,
like
no, no.
polymers and like
Yeah,
all
I
this.
mean, you don't need fall leather. Like, in fact, nowadays you're finding all these bags, like, especially in India, if you go to like the mountains and all, they have these hemp bags. So, like, the hemp is being recycled into these bags, and they're quite nice. Like, they're almost like cloth, and they're available everywhere. So you can use cloth bags, you can use different material
Is it
bags, and
as like one of the best things about leather is um, it's very supple and very you can give it any shape and it holds the shape if you give it that shape. That is the first point. Cloth bags has that disadvantage. And in terms of shoes, it is very breathable at the same time being very durable and shiny and all these different things.
I don't know about the breathable, like if you're using shoes,
No, no,
breathable,
but leather is
especially the ones that the men.
the greatest property of leather is it's breathable. That's why people prefer leather shoes compared to any other four leather shoes. You know, all these um, the the office shoes.
But I'm sure that we're at a stage where it's very identical and
Yes, but
has
we haven't been able to
properties.
replace the breathable properties of leather in fall leather. We haven't been able to replicate that. Mm.
Okay, something's happening with my image. It can start on the screen.
Could be. Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. But either way, I think you know, if you are using leather, be uh, know the impacts that leather has. Try not using as much leather. Even if it sounds fancy, it looks fancy, you want fancy things, start changing. Start changing from your bags first, and then you can change to your shoes.
What are some
But
of
we
the
do not
alternatives that you would
need,
suggest just for our audience as well? For bags, let's say.
uh, like you have cloth bags, you have, what do you say, these hemp bags.
Jute?
You have jute bags, yes, and you have also bags made of a mix of cloth and other things which are sturdy, and fall leather bags. So you have a lot of options. You also have kind of waterproofy materials that are coming in. Probably that does include plastic, but it doesn't
What
have
about the
leather in
fashion
it.
aspect? Do they these alternate bags also have the because bags are also an accessory that you use in terms of your outfit and things
I
like that.
think, to be honest, it's not how the bag looks as much as it's the brand of the bag that a lot of people care about. So a lot of
But
women are not
also in
caring
like
about
countries like ours, there is a lot of knockoff bags that are going
that.
around.
Is absolutely, absolutely. But I think it is not so much the bag, but the brand that you're carrying. So, like you tell people that, oh, I have a Gucci, I have a Louis Vuitton, I have a, Coach or a Michael Kors. It's not so much, oh, I have a leather bag. No, that's
No,
not what people tell each other. So I think that definitely can be changed. It also has to come from the companies. Like they need to start promoting
that is a good point.
non-leather products, and there are different options. I think even for like men's shoes, I don't have a lot of knowledge on them, but there are non-leather men's shoes as well.
Hmm.
I don't know about the breathability aspect, I don't know how great they are, but there can be changes because we do know the kind of impact, and we do know that changing our food habits, especially with meat and with even our milk consumption and everything, can cause a lot of reforestation. Like it is a cause where, like, if there are lesser cow farms, then there's more greenery.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, and especially your point about like the companies are in the position, the big companies are in a position to influence style and influence uh, style in a way that is positive, has a positive impact on the environment. So
Yeah,
they hold a lot of power. So you know that responsibility, I think, largely also falls on them because their whole marketing only works if people are hyped about these exclusive, seemingly exclusive products, right?
true. Absolutely. Um, I think we have a couple of big stories to go through. So
Hmm.
let's try to wrap this up
Hmm.
quickly. Um, one of the topic that we had to talk about was why fireworks can be a death sentence for wildlife. A recent research reveals that fireworks can seriously harm wildlife, causing disruption, injury, and death. On January 1st, 2025, hundreds of dead birds, mostly juveniles, were found on a Bulgarian mountain trail. Necropsies revealed wounds, bruises, internal bleeding, and broken wings. Scientists determined a nearby fireworks display had scared the birds into fatal collisions with trees and with each other. Experts believe such events are common but poorly documented since wildlife rehabilitators rarely witness the direct connection between fireworks and animal casualties. Fireworks cause panic and disorientation in wildlife, leading to traumatic injuries, abandonment of young, and stress disorders. Wildlife clinics report increased patients after July 4th, treating suspicious injuries likely caused by fireworks. And for people who have pets in their homes, you know what happens when fireworks are going on. The dogs in your houses are really scared because they do not understand why it is so loud and what is the sound coming from. They're extremely scared. Even the cats are scared. Every animal is scared. And for the birds that are already in the air, for them, those kind of explosions and those kind of sounds are not something that they're used to, and especially in the night. So they don't know what to do with that kind of sound, so they go haywire and enjoy themselves. So please be more careful. Like, I feel like fireworks are something that we can kind of really start eliminating from our system. Like, you can have it on a very, 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 very extremely rare condition, and maybe only some places with some control. But in general, I think fireworks just need to be banned globally.
I'll just share my screen. There's an image from this article. Obviously, this looks very good to the human eye. Beautiful, beautiful display. But again, this causes a lot of distress, as Meghna said as well. Um, and I think especially it's topical because today is the 4th of July in America, and they must be going through a lot of celebrations, a lot of fireworks. So if anyone is listening to this is actually celebrating 4th of July, you know, happy 4th of July and happy Independence Day. But and it's a 250th celebration as well. So the current leader has made a lot of fuss on how 250th birthday will be so great and so this. So if you're bursting a lot of firecrackers, just stop now. That is the first thing you can do. Um, but anyway, the discussion question we have here, Meghna, is how should we weigh the human cultural traditions? Because it is a ingrained cultural thing. Fireworks was invented in China over 3,000 years ago, and it has been an ingrained part of our society and celebrations. How do we balance that against their hidden ecological costs?
I
What is
think,
your thought?
see, the thing is that I don't know when fireworks became like a symbolism of celebration. Like, even with things like Diwali, they say that going by the scriptures and going by the old texts, when like Ram came back home, whatever the story is, it says that there were diyas or lamps that were lit up, like these oil based lamps that
Earthen
were lit up.
lamps.
Yeah, so it wasn't a firework celebration back then,
Mhm.
according to the scriptures. But the fireworks are something that the newer generation has brought in as a celebration method. Method. I don't know what the Chinese used it 3,000 years back, if it was for celebration or if it was for something else. But there are better ways to celebrate. There are better ways to show that you're happy or you want to celebrate than fireworks. It's just that I think socially we have ingrained fireworks with celebrations. So if there's a marriage, we have fireworks. If there is like Independence Day, we have fireworks. If there's a festival, we have fireworks. But I think we need to start kind of detaching the celebration part of it from the fireworks part of it, because the fireworks is something that we have conditioned ourselves that, oh, if it is something great, we need to have fireworks in the sky. So that is something we can change by saying, oh, there are better ways to celebrate than this.
I think you're completely. I agree with that. Um, I think it's about the light. I think our fascination, because as a society, we have only been so lit up in dark environments only for the last 50 years or so, that
Yeah,
fireworks and the brilliant flash of light was very fascinating for us. But now, really, there is no need for it. And I think there is a lot of displays that are happening now, like kind of drone displays or
yeah,
uh, things like that. I think that can easily take the place of fireworks. Again, in a controlled
absolutely.
environment, of course, as long as the drones are not harming the birds around. But again, it's much better than fireworks because it does not cause that amount of noise, that level of noise, and the intensity. I think drones cause noise, but the intensity, it's more in the as a background noise that can be tuned out, like a white noise. The constant buzzing of the drone's blades, but fireworks is like a high decibel and sustained sort of intense noise.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we would just urge you to be more careful of fireworks and celebrating with fireworks. I understand that you have the need and the urge because that is how we are conditioned to, but we are better than that. We have better ways to celebrate. Find maybe just lights or lamps or any other way to
Yeah.
celebrate than loud displays in the sky.
Mm. There's one more story that we wanted to cover. This is, you know, from Florida. The story from the Guardian. It's called "Call for Inquiry into Alligator Alcatraz's Abuse of Everglades Despite Closure." Florida's controversial Alligator Alcatraz migrant detention center has closed after 12 months of operation. Okay, let me just. Why is the word migrant here? Let me just confirm that this article is.
Yeah, yeah, migrant because it's a detention center for like the immigrants, migrants, whatever it is.
Okay, right. Let's continue and see if there is any environmental relation to this. So, has closed after 12 months of operations, but environmental groups, immigrant rights advocates, and the Miccosukee tribe are demanding an independent investigation into the environmental damage it caused. At a news conference outside the shuttered facility in Ocoee, Florida, Friends of the Everglades executive director Eve Samples called the camp, quote, a failure, an obscene waste of taxpayer dollars, and an abuse of the Everglades. The $608 million facility, built during Trump's second administration for detaining undocumented immigrants, faced lawsuit filed in June 2025 seeking to halt construction. During federal court hearings in Miami, environmental representatives uh, presented evidence of significant harm, including the paving of 20 acres of Everglades wilderness. Trump administration officials had repeatedly denied access requests from concerned organizations. So I think there's an environmental angle to it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
we knew this when we were
yeah.
bringing in the story.
Mm,
It was basically like for anyone who doesn't know, Everglades is one of the areas in Florida which is teeming with wildlife. Everglades is also really, really known for its alligator population, and a lot of other places. And Florida is also one of the places where in the sea, you have the manatees and everything. Florida has great wildlife. It
mm,
also, like off the coast, you have sharks and other kind of tours out there. But Everglades is one of those areas which are green, rich, nutrient diverse, have alligators, have other wildlife there.
wetland.
And
It's a wetland ecosystem.
yes, and with the building of this immigrant detention facility, obviously it's getting a lot of heat because it is supposed to be a protected area, and that is not where you spend $608 million to build a
Mm,
facility just to detain people that you think are immigrants, like and undocumented immigrants. For anyone who has followed the U.S. news, you know that there was a lot of heat that Trump and his ICE were facing.
mm.
The ICE were people who were
The
going to
agents,
people's
the
houses. Yeah,
paramilitary
agents.
force.
Yeah, the agents were going into people's houses, dragging them from there and putting them into these migrant facilities, and from there they were being transported to other places. So it wasn't a great place to in general also to put people in, and at the cost of the environment. So in I think in totality that entire operation was something that wasn't needed, and this building wasn't needed. Like they could have just left the Everglades the way it was.
Yeah, I'm just sharing a few pictures from a different article, but um, from National Geographic, some photos of Everglades National Park and general ecosystem that Everglades present. This is obviously an aerial view. The next photograph is one of an alligator in the marshy. So it's a low depth marshy and wetland. And these wetlands, I think we have discussed, and wetlands and the peatlands, they are huge, huge carbon sinks. Um, so preserving these wetlands and preserving these areas is of utmost importance. This is again a mangrove growing in the Everglades. Um, some birds there. I think these birds are white ibis, snowy egrets, and rosette spoonbills. These are the three species of birds that can be seen in this photograph. Um, Water lilies covering the surface of the park. This is very prevalent in the um, you know biosphere in the Everglades, which is a World Heritage Site, by the way. And this is again an aerial view. Um, 35,000. This area particular area protects a 35,000-acre labyrinth of mangrove islands, freshwater and saltwater marshes. So again, beautiful scenes and beautiful place. Uh, Even if we do not consider the beauty, um, you know, it's a hugely important ecosystem. To say that, and it's only, I guess, the current administration that could even think about, which does not care, by the way, about climate or climate change, and does not believe in climate change even, um, that can do something like this. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, let's see how the case turns out and what happens. But there's not a lot I expect from that administration or any administration across the world, because
Hmm.
nobody cares
Hmm.
about the environment.
Hmm.
And they would rather plunder everything that is environmentally viable than try to protect it. But
Hmm.
that's how it is. Um, but we are drawing close to our um, episode, and I'm going to talk to you about leather. And I really want to know, like, what leather products do you use? Why do you use leather products? Have you tried to use alternatives? What are some of the alternatives you have used, and what do you think of those alternatives? Are there other alternatives that I have not talked about, and that are actually there in the market that might help people choose more? So it should be, I understand that there should be like a priority for what you like, but also what the environment likes as well. So just let us know in the comments what you think and what changes you've made and what you think of the the leather news.
Hmm. I think that's one thing you could let us know. That will be really helpful. And as we say about the seabird and bird flu problem in reaching remote areas, if any one of you knows of any person who's working on the solution or researching this particular problem, let us know in the comments as well. On top of that, the one thing that you can do to help support us, which is completely free, by the way, is subscribe to our channel and follow us on all the different social media platforms. We are on all the major social media platforms, and we go live on every platform all at once, so you'll be able to catch us wherever you follow us. Um, Other than that, if you're listening to a recorded version of this episode, do consider leaving a rating in the podcasting app that you're listening it to. It also helps with the reach and sharing sort of this perspective. Again, we're not authoritarian, and we are not spreading a message, but we are just sharing a perspective that could hugely benefit the planet that we share. um Other than that, share this episode with someone who shares your worldview, shares your philosophy, or with someone who does not, and just give them a different perspective. But other than that, that's it for today, and we will see you next Sunday. Same time, same channel. Have a good one, guys.
Bye bye.